world is full of stories, some hidden, some waiting to be told.
Do you think that the choice of this American as Pope had anything to do with Trump?
I think we have a tendency to want everything to have something to do with Trump today.
Real voices.
So do you see there ever being a Palestinian state? Yes or no?
I am not jumping up and down because of what Canada, UK, and Australia have done, because these are chicken countries when it comes to military might.
Real people.
Overpopulation will kill you, and the rise in the sea level will kill you. So you choose. I think it's time to choose how you're going to die anyway.
So the fact that U.S. foreign policy has done some things that frankly, I'm not proud of in Iran.
Each sharing what connects us all.
There is no life for women, and education closed and banned for all women in Afghanistan.
From London to Lagos, from Prague to Taipei, around the world with Dane Waters brings together thinkers, dreamers, and doers. Conversations that cross borders, stories that bridge divides. Heard in over 60 countries, these stories travel farther than borders, inspiring hearts, sparking ideas, and reminding us how connected the world truly is. Don't miss Around the World with Dane Waters.
Welcome back to Around the World with Dane Waters. I'm honored to have with me Jide Ojo. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. Good morning.
Good morning to you as well. So we're gonna talk about, on my show I talk about Nigerian politics and what's going on, but I really, and once again, this is a global show, so I'm just trying to get the world to understand what's going on. So give me your take right now. Well, first of all, I'd like to say, who's actually going to be in the presidential election, and what's your take on the different candidates?
Well, INEC has already unveiled 19 presidential candidates over the weekend on August 1st. And we know that there are attempts by the opposition. There is a G100 group that are trying to foster a unified coalition candidate against the incumbent president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Whether that will work or not remains to be seen, given the fact that they have until August 22, 90 days, the Electoral Act says, before the window on substitution of candidates will close. So they intend to convey a summit in a couple of weeks' time. But the dilemma is who will step down for who. We have Atiku Abubakar, former vice president, who has said this will be his last presidential attempt after 6 previous ones. We have a Peter Obi of NDC, National Democratic Congress, who has said, I'm going to do just one term and I will be off the stage. So it's going to be a tough call, because this is not the first time we are having attempt at having a coalition against the incumbent. In Ibadan, around May or April this year, there was a declaration made in Ibadan that all the opposition parties will be fielding one united coalition candidate. But we haven't seen that happen. Out of 22 political parties, we now have 19 of them fielding presidential candidates. So how to rally 18 of them to step out of the race to pave way for one candidate seems like a very huge challenge at this point.
No, I agree. Listen, I've worked in Nigeria on these campaigns, and I tell you, it's the egos. Egos are just so extreme. Listen, as we know, there was a early on there was a the two I hate to the two leading candidates were, of course, were Atiku and Peter, and that they were going to, in theory, get together together, same party, and run together. But now they've decided, once again, they broke off. So I mean, I agree with you. I just don't see how. And listen, even if all these other candidates came together, I mean, really, unless Peter, I want your opinion on this, unless Peter and Atiku can come together, do you see that there's any chance that Tinubu can be defeated?
Nothing is impossible in politics. I studied political science first and second degree. I've been in this field since 1999. I've been observing election as accredited observer since 1999. That gives me some 27 years of experience. I've also built capacities of different democratic institutions in the political ecosystem. There is something called political offset, which has happened at state level and even at the national level. Many Nigerians did not see the political offset of 2015, when Nigeria had the first experience of an incumbent president being defeated. And lightning can strike twice in the same spot. But the chances of that happening is remote at this point. Because for me, it's a deja vu. We are back to 2023, when we had three strong candidates, one from the southeast of Igbo extraction, one from Yoruba extraction, one from Hausa Fulani extraction. Assuming without conceding that the coalition even succeed in getting Atiku Abubakar to step down, it will still be a tough one for Peter Obi, because he's not seen. I mean, chances of him being voted for in the core north is very slim. The core north here, I'm talking of northeast, northwest, and to an extent, part of north central, are predominantly Muslim population. And if Atiku Abubakar drops out of the race, will they trust, because there is a trust issue, would they trust an Igbo man as a president, even if he wants to do one term? And who are the people that will be marketing Peter Obi? Is it a Kwakwanso that is only a fringe player in Kano, outside of Kano and partly Jigawa State? Rabi Musa Kwakwanso is running mate, is little known. Or will the coalition now replace the vice presidential candidate to Peter Obi to choose a more popular northern candidate to deputize him? Will Atiku Abubakar, who has been a vice president for 8 years, want to now be another running mate to a more younger candidate? I don't see that happening. So the dilemma is there. Campaigns are supposed to start in September. Time is of essence. Time is ticking. Even some of the parties still have some legal tangles to deal with as they are right now. Like ADC is still deeply immersed in litigation, leadership squabble, leadership tussle. NDC, there is still a case in court which is trying to deregister the party. And NDC does not have a structure, pan-Nigerian structure. The NDC under which Peter Obi is going to contest was just established or registered in February 2026. So it's little known beyond the person of Peter Obi. And what will Peter Obi be campaigning on? Promissory notes. Promissory notes. I will do this, I will do that. But Bola Tinubu already has some modest achievement to campaign on. and to say, I'm on course to consolidate my achievement. Look at the issue around state police, look at the tax reform, look at the restructuring agenda, look at the economic revival. Even though very painful, people are already coming to terms with the fact that if we didn't do this, maybe Nigerian economy will have collapsed. So until the opposition brings a superior argument and superior expertise, Nigerians may not trust them. And then look at what APC has. APC just didn't have a president. APC has 31 governors across the 6 geopolitical zones. Even there are governors that do not belong to APC who are working indirectly for APC. Someone like the governor of Anambra State, which is an All Progressive Grand Alliance governor, has pledged support and said they will not field presidential candidate for 2027. The governor of Abia State is of Labour extraction, but he has a yummy relationship with the president. So you now find a situation where the odds are actually stacked against the opposition. But remember what I said earlier. There's something called political upset. And 24 hours is a long time in politics. For instance, if the security challenge becomes intractable, if the rising cost of living becomes unbearable, these two alone may actually give sympathy vote for the opposition. And so that's the worry, major worry.
No, listen, I get it. I mean, well, first of all, I would argue that the chances of Atiku abandoning his presidential campaign is like slim to none, since it is his last chance to run. I just don't see him backing out of the party. And then, so if you have Peter, and you have Atiku, and you're right. I mean, the thing is that Tinubu, even though there's a lot of people who are unhappy with him, he has something to campaign on. I mean, Atiku, this one, as you said, is his 6th presidential campaign. Peter doesn't really have a whole lot to campaign on. I mean, and also, for the world, once again, just so the world understands this, it's not a matter of just somebody getting the plurality of the vote. Walk us through, for somebody to be president, they have to get a certain percentage in every single part of the country. Walk us through that.
So, according to Nigerian electoral jurisprudence, for you to be declared president of Nigeria, you must satisfy 2 preconditions. First is that you must have majority of valid vote cast, majority overall. 2 is that you must also have 25% of votes, valid votes, in at least 2/3 of the country. So 2/3 of Nigeria is 24 states. And FCT, which is Abuja Federal Capital Territory. So from the 2023 episode, we now know that Abuja actually means another state, which is presumably, if you are able to get up to 25% of valid votes in 25 states, whether Abuja is inclusive or not, you are home and dry, provided that you score 25 minimum threshold of 25% in at least 25 states and overall majority. It's as simple as that. Unlike many African countries and many countries across the globe where they use the French model of 50 plus 1. So if you don't have 50% plus 1 vote, there will be a runoff, but in Nigeria, it's not so. It's that it seems simple, but not entirely very simple, actually. Because if you look at the trajectory of the former president, Muhammadu Buhari, in the 3 previous attempts before 2015, he actually was polling 12 million votes from 2003, 2007, 2011, but it never amounted to much because he has majority of his votes in northern Nigeria, and there are 19 northern states, but didn't have the entry into the south, which is why the All Progressive Congress was formed in 2013 with major alliance with Action Congress of Nigeria, which is the dominant party in southwest Nigeria. And that was what gave him the niche to defeat the incumbent in 2015. So if you look at the Muslim ticket or same faith ticket of Bola Tinubu in the upcoming presidential election, it's actually to a pathway for his electoral victory. Because when you look at religion as a variable in Nigerian politics, many northern Muslims does not believe that southern Muslims are of equal status in terms of practice. They believe that the southern Muslims are too liberal. So for President Bola Tinubu, how could he have only one wife? And the wife, the only one he has, is a Christian, a pastor in a Pentecostal church. So for them, in the north, he is not Muslim enough. And he needs the northern votes because the north has bigger population, has more number of states, and as such, he knew that if he is able to get somebody who will be marketable across the northern states, it will serve his purpose, even though it may make him to lose vote in the middle belt where you have predominant Christian, particularly in some of the places like Plateau, Benue, Southern Kaduna, Southern Borno, Southern Nasarawa, and all of that. But the calculation is that it's shopping for 25% across most of the northern states. And he feels that the best way to handle it is to have a Muslim who is acceptable by Islamic clerics across the north, and he bringing the southern coalition. Now the entire south is APC, unlike in 2023 when it was divided between APC and PDP. Now the entire south is APC. 3 out of the southeast states are APC. 3 out of the southwest states are APC. And if APC wins the forthcoming August 15 governorship election in Osun, that will make it 4. In fact, what am I saying? It's only Osun and Oyo State that are PDP, but their governors have defected. So if APC wins Osun election on August 15, that will mean APC has 5 states in the southwest, and almost all the entire northern region is APC. So it's about pathway to electoral victory, which is assured for the incumbent.
No, listen, I agree with you. And I think that, you talk about the pathway. I mean, first of all, 2 things I want the audience to understand. That in the future, when you see the news report talking about whether Peter Obi's doing great in the polls or Atiku's doing great in the polls, the reality is that they have to make that 25% threshold. So you have to look at these individual polls of the states nationally, internationally. Just don't think that just a national poll is going to tell you who's the next president of Nigeria. That's number one. But number 2, I agree with you. This is why I think that Tinubu has odds-on favorite of winning the election, because even though Atiku would do well in the north, he's well respected in the north by the Muslim leadership there. Then you got Peter who's running. I mean, he's got the Christian support in the South. The two of them are dividing the votes. Okay, the two of them running separately are dividing the votes. And so the reality is that that's why Tinubu is going to win, in my opinion. That the only option, in my opinion, and tell me if I'm wrong, is that if you had an Atiku Peter Obi ticket, that would give you the chance of beating Tinubu. But as long as they're running separate, I don't see how it's even possible that they can win. I just don't.
Well, if there is a Atiku Peter Obi ticket, uh, it's a dicey one. Um, it's a possibility, no doubt, because of trade-off. Atiku is 80 and Peter Obi is about 65, 66. And Atiku has said, I will do one term. It's a possibility that if they are able to navigate the landmines of having both as a coalition candidate, it may work in their favor. But remember, the challenge of this forthcoming election is about power rotation. Muhammadu Buhari has done 8 years as a stretch, 2 terms. And he is believed to have done that on behalf of the North. So power shift should come to the South. And that means an Atiku will not be acceptable in southern Nigeria. The obedient movement, which is backing Peter Obi strongly, has insisted that it cannot be playing second fiddle and hand their support. It's either on the ballot or it's not in the race, which is what pushed him out of ADC. And he knew if power moves back to the North in 2027, the chances of having an Igbo president in the foreseeable future will be very difficult, because once power goes back to the North will want to have it at least 2 terms. Whether Atiku does 1 term or not, the North will want to have it, because Atiku's camp has done a calculation and felt that since 1999, the North has been shortchanged in terms of number of years it has occupied the #1 position. And this happened because of the death of Umaru Musa Yar'Adua in 2010, which made Goodluck Jonathan to serve out the remainder 1 year of the Yar'Adua presidency, and then did 1 full term of his own. And so the argument of the Atiku camp is that the North is actually the marginalized one right now. And that's why they are agitated. But look at the broad picture. Atiku's brand is a damaged brand. He is believed not to be electable on the ground that when he was vice president, he engaged in a number of shady deals. Remember the Jefferson's case in US, when he was the NCP national, when he oversaw the national privatization exercise of Nigeria, it was alleged to have sold most of the valuable assets of Nigeria for next to nothing to his cronies. And many of those companies are comatose or moribund now. Then he is also perceived as being old and is in his 80s. The vibrancy and eye for details is not there for an Atiku presidency. So beyond just fulfilling a lifelong ambition of wanting to be president, his health, his mental health, particularly as an octogenarian, may not be what Nigerians need at this point. Then, if you have heard what his former principal, Obasanjo, have said about him, about his personal about his role in the 8 years of his vice presidency, how he was declared wanted by the US, and all of those things, coupled with the fact that um, he has some baggage, which I think if it's P2B that is actually on ballot, does not have. But will an Atiku swallow his pride and throw his weight behind P2B? I do not see that. But whatever it is, whatever the opposition brings to the table, if they feature a coalition candidate, it just makes the election more competitive. It still does not mean that the incumbent will not win, even though it may be by a narrow margin. Because when you look at the resources at the disposal of the ruling party, if the governors keep fidelity to supporting the presidential candidate, if members of the National Assembly and State House of Assembly all worked for the victory of the party, even though the margin may be narrow, the best, I think the incumbent will win. The only way the incumbent may not win in 2027, the most feasible way is a technical knockout through disqualification.
Well, so we got 30 seconds left here, so finish that up. We got 30 seconds left.
Because you know about his academic credentials, that he was not able to supply his primary and secondary school credentials, his alleged forfeiture of several thousands of dollars in a drug case way back in the 1990s. So if the opposition can get him disqualified, that is the surest pathway to victory. But to contest against him in a free and fair election, it will be an Herculean task.
Yeah, well, listen, just to sum it up, listen, I appreciate your insight. It's very, very helpful. And I just think it's very important for the world to understand that, well, let me just say this. The one thing I hope, and then we got to go, sadly, is that regardless of the outcome, this election, I think what's beneficial and what would be beneficial for Nigeria is that we have a clean, fair election where we don't have challenges at the end like we did the last two elections, claiming it was stolen, because democracy in Nigeria is in danger, in my opinion. We need to have an election where people accept the outcome and the Nigerian people understand that democracy worked, whether it's Tinubu winning, Atiku, or Peter, or whoever it is. But anyway, listen, I really appreciate your insight. I'll have you back on the show as the election gets closer, but sadly we're out of time. But thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. You have a great day. Cheers.
Thanks, you too. Anyway, thanks for being with Dane Waters, Around the World with Dane Waters. It's always a great pleasure. I look forward to seeing you again next week. Thanks a lot.